Hello, my name is Matthew, and Steve Donahue and I are reading ancient Roman biographies this month as a part of our little book club, and also to take part in nonfiction November. And the past 2 weeks, we read biographies of Julius Caesar, one by Plutarch and then by Suetonius. And this week, we read a biography of Galba, and I read it in this modern library edition. This is the Dryden translation. And this Galba guy, I'm sure this is going to be one of the most popular uh, videos, one of the most viewed videos I've ever made, talking about the renowned, the well known, uh, the infamous Galba. This guy, Plutarch had made a point at some point that he's a biographer and not a historian. And so he's focusing not on huge, sweeping events, but of people's lives, how they behaved, how they lived, how they thought, instead of grander pictures. And reading the Julius Caesar biography of Plutarch's, it begins when Julius Caesar is 17 years old, roughly. Goes on from there. So his early life, his childhood, his formidable years are passed over. And it makes a lot of sense for Julius Caesar, who lived a life that was larger than life, just full of activity and conflict and conquests and successes and great tragedy. And also because the biography was 40, 50, 60 pages long, it doesn't do much good. There's not a great interest in knowing what was going on with Julius Caesar when he was 2 or 3 years old. Galba's biography begins when he's 70 something. It gives you an idea of the rich life this man had. So he was a Caesar, an emperor, and for someone that doesn't know, if anybody that knows a little bit about Roman history, there's some Caesars that you just know: Julius Caesar, Augustus, some of the more infamous or notorious Caesars like Caligula or Nero, maybe uh, Trajan, Hadrian, Domitian. There's a whole handful of Caesars that anybody just might know without doing much research or having interest in. Galba is someone that you have to read up on and study and be interested. The one thing of note is he was the first Caesar in the year of the four Caesars. So just a bleak year in the Roman Empire where there is corruption and dissension and disloyalty, backstabbing, and the rule of law and the solid foundation of the Roman government is really on thin ice. Galba succeeded Nero, and Galba is Plutarch says is was one of the wealthiest, independently wealthiest individuals in ancient Rome to become an emperor. And he's 70 some years old. He seems to be a career politician, the way politicians were back in ancient Rome. He has a position in Spain and seems to be living an extremely comfortable, easy existence. All of this very quickly gets turned around. So he's lived the life of 70 years and has done, for not knowing anything, fairly well for himself. He has a good position, he's made lots of money, and he knows the inner circle and the highest points of um, the Roman aristocracy and government and all of that. He knows Nero, and he's going to be appointed Caesar. And even before this, trouble starts. There's rumblings that he's old, he's bald. Nobody really knows who this guy is. He's going to be a laughing stock and an embarrassment when he's presented to the Roman people, and they say, "Here's your old, bald Caesar Galba." And there was this other guy in Rome, because right now Galba is in Spain. He has to make the trip back to Rome to be anointed and all that. This other guy, I think his name was like Nymphidius or Nymphimus or something like that. He decides that Galba's not even gonna make it. This old man, he's gonna be dead before he even gets here, dead on arrival. And so he just kind of says that he's gonna be Caesar. And he's telling people this. He's getting himself all ready that he's gonna be Caesar. Well, Galba arrives, not dead. And there's this great moment. They're in some palace or quarters or fortress or something. And this guy who's announced that he's going to be Caesar, he's in front of like the Roman legions. There's all these soldiers. And he's going, I'm Caesar. And they turn on him. The soldiers turn on him. The fortress doors are locked. They're fully armored. They have their swords and shields, and they're saying Galba's the emperor. And this guy, who wanted to be Caesar, tries to just sort of like swivel himself around and say, "Yeah, Galba's Caesar. There he is. That's our Caesar." And they kill him. And so now Galba is Caesar, this he seems to be this insulated emperor. There's very little focus or any attention paid to the Roman public. This is very much a story of the inner circle, of the inner workings of Roman government, and the majority of the attention paid outside of that is with the military, the Roman legions, and their well-being and happiness. And the Roman soldiers is definitely a group of people that you want to keep happy. Their job, there's hundreds of thousands of these Roman soldiers. Their job is to go around the world ransack cities and towns, and take it over, just absorb it into the Roman Empire. Take all of the money, take all of the healthy, hale and healthy young men, all of that. That's what the Roman soldiers are supposed to do. You don't want them ransacking Rome. And Galba comes off extremely tone deaf. There's a continual problem that needs to be solved with the compensation of these Roman soldiers. They want to be paid or rewarded for their services, to be able to retire and have a land of their own, a place to live, and money to live on. There might be some corruption in there and people that want more than they should, but in general, that's the feeling that I get. And Galba makes this like tone deaf comment about how he wants soldiers should enlist, not be bought. And it does not go well with the Roman legions. Just everywhere, his idea that these people are just swords and shields, weapons to be utilized, and not much more humanity should be granted. They're part of the Roman Empire. They're the military, and that's that. And I'm not really sure how long Galba was even a Caesar. It couldn't have been more than just a few months, and nothing happens. There's no public works projects. There's no comment on anything that could happen to the benefit of the Roman people, the people that are living in Rome, or all of the provinces or outskirts of the Roman Empire. It's very it's this insulated, corrupt, backstabbing, claustrophobic biography of just distrust and disloyal behavior with everyone surrounding this inner circle. And it does seem to be just like this death spiral of not having a clear rule of law and not having like a clear constitution on how do we have a peaceful transfer of power? How do we go from one Caesar to the next? If you set a precedent that you can just be killing people off, or appointing people at random, or having votes that don't really mean anything, or having intermarriages to get somebody, it just becomes this mess. And this is like a tenuous, messy period of ancient Rome, and just the position of being Caesar. It seems to be a position that you don't envy. You're just inheriting a mess. And when people are kind of dying all around you, and you put yourself in a very dangerous position. And Galba clearly was in a dangerous position. There was this other guy, Otho, who was traitorous and treasonous, and not accepting Galba as the emperor. They were friends. They would go on rides together. There was like a several-day carriage ride, and they would sit and be close, and it seemed like they were colleagues or friends. And Otho is this debaucherous, licentious character who is mostly known for who he's sleeping around with. And there's an uprising just within this little circle. It doesn't seem like the Roman public is involved at all. The military's not happy. The people in this inner circle aren't happy. Galba doesn't seem to be leading anything. He doesn't seem to be fit for the position in any sense, being the head of the government, being liked by the public, being able to rule with authority, the Roman legions, not being able to build trust with the other Roman politicians, and there's a small revolt. His carriage, it's called a litter. His carriage is just surrounded and attacked. His bodyguards, there's the centurions all around his carriage. And only one of the centurions defends his emperor and says to the attackers, like, you can't do this to our emperor. The man who supposedly, in Plutarch's biography, the man who supposedly had the final deathly blow that killed Galba was Fabius Fabulous. It sounds like a professional wrestler. And he's decapitated. They make jokes about this old, bald, decapitated head and how it's hard to grip with all of that smooth, kind of wrinkly skin. It's the head slips out of your hands, and they put it on a pike. Otho becomes the next emperor, who's going to be the second of the 4 in a year. So it's not going to go well for Otho or Otho either. And I'm really interested now to read Suetonius's biography of Galba. I think the inclination to be a little bit more scandalous, a little bit more gossipy, will lend itself to an entertaining reading experience. Because you can just feel all of this corruption and backhandedness and backstabbing that's just constantly circling around the last few years of Galba's life. It's honestly really tragic. This isn't like Caesar, who was just ramming his whole life into this constant ascent, to have one singular goal in mind and ramming it through with willpower and determination and striving and constantly working towards a certain point. This just seemed like a rich old man that had a fairly forgettable but decent life, that got stuck in a position that he should not have been in. The whole world gets turned upside down, and he dies for it. Not much happens other than he becomes a Caesar and then dies very quickly after. But those are my thoughts. I'll look forward to hearing what Steve Donahue has to say about Plutarch's Galba, and I'm very much looking forward to reading Suetonius's Galba. If you've read it, please let me know what you thought, or if you already know about Galba, if you're a Galba expert or scholar. Let me know what you think. So please leave a comment if you would like, and thank you for watching. Take care.